Hi, Ed Skidmore here. I found a delightful story in a San Angelo newsletter. I want to share it with you today. According to the story, this little first grade girl is asking her mother a question. She's wondering why it is that every evening it seems that Daddy has to come home with a briefcase full of paperwork and has to spend the whole evening there in the study. And the mother explained to the girl, she said, well, dear, they give Daddy so much work there at the office. He just doesn't have time to get it all done. So he has to come home every night and bring this work home and work on it in the evenings. Well, the little 6-year-old thought for just a minute, and then she suggested, well, why don't they just put Daddy in a slower group? Now, I think she had the right idea. I mean, it's too bad we don't listen often enough to the soft-spoken wisdom of the younger set. And I think we might be surprised how often it is that they see things a lot more clearly than their adult contemporaries. You know, Jesus had this in mind when he said in Matthew 11, verse 25 and 26, he said, I praise you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because you've hidden these things from the wise and learned and revealed them to little children. Yes, Father, for this was your good pleasure. And then, just a verse or two later, he goes on to say, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Oh, listen to those words. In Jesus' day, it was common when a rabbi would take on a young protege to train them in a kind of a rabbi's school of sorts. That when the rabbi would pick out one or maybe two young men to train, that he would go into a rigorous training program and force them to memorize all kinds of things and spend hours and hours learning and memorizing and writing and doing all kinds of things so that they too could become a rabbi. That was often called taking on the rabbi's yoke. And a lot of times that yoke was a hard yoke to take on. But Jesus was not a typical rabbi, and his yoke was not a typical yoke. So I love these words coming from him, because these are words of comfort for anybody who really needs to look for a slower group. So the next time, perhaps you could stop and maybe listen to the counsel from the mouth of babes. And maybe you might want to let Jesus provide for you an easier yoke and perhaps a slower group. Have a great day. Thanks a lot.